Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with a Life Crafted album in my Miami Beach album. We are working our way through, getting close to done-ish, but today I'm going to be working with the Citrus Twist Travelogue collection and printables, and I'm actually going to be scrapbooking these photos of the Miami Beach trolley and the routes and all of that. I have an idea for this page with the routes and things like that. I wouldn't normally scrapbook a story like this, like the transit around town, but actually the trolley played a really big role in our vacation. I didn't have any photos on the trolley because I just never took any, except for this one that my husband took of himself. So I'm using that as my main photo. I snagged a photo off the internet of the actual trolley, and then I'm going to have these photos of the transit lines sort of in the background. So I'm using the Travelogue collection. I've already pulled out some bits and pieces that I went through and divided up the Travelogue collection into different themes. So I've already pulled out the transportation style embellishments from the collection, and then I have all of the other sort of embellishments over here as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this page. So let's get started. Okay, I have to say this is one of those layouts where I was a little bit lost when I started, and then I had an epiphany that changed everything, right? And it was like magical and wonderful, and it made me so happy, and I absolutely love the end product of this layout. But you're gonna watch me struggle here for a few minutes until I figure out where I am going. So first of all, I knew I wanted to use this map paper because we are talking about getting around town and how we didn't get lost on the Miami Beach trolley, but it definitely took us a while to figure out what to do with it. So we're not public transit people. We don't live in an area with great public transit. So I also was traveling with two people who are very content to let me just do my my control freak thing. And so it was kind of up to me to figure out what we wanted to do and how we wanted to get around town. And so trying to figure out this Miami trolley system was a little bit of a crazy stretch for me in the beginning. Obviously we got it and it worked, but it felt like we were always like missing it or going the wrong direction or on the wrong trolley for a few days there. So I wanted to scrapbook that story because it's an important story to our vacation. So I knew I wanted to have these routes because that's part of the story, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Like I said, I only had one photo from the trolley to tell this story, so I felt like having these maps really helped tell the story as well. So I wanted to make sure that they were incorporated, but I couldn't figure out a way to incorporate them that made them make sense, right? Like they're all covered up here. They don't really, like, you can't figure out what they are. Plus you got the maps on top of the map. So it was just kind of not working for me, and I'm going to figure it out. But first I'm going to try everything. And then I was thinking about the, you can see me thinking, I was thinking about the story, and this meme popped into my head. It's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's used for conspiracy theories, but you can see all the strings in the background, and it's like a common thing, right, with detective boards where they have strings and they're figuring things out. Plus, it also reminds me of like the map thing, or the maps that you see like this, where you've got the push pins and the strings. That's kind of like showing your route or where you've been or that kind of a thing. So I had this epiphany. I'm going to have it here in a second after I trim this trim this mat and struggle on the struggle bus for a few more minutes. I have this epiphany here, and I really want to recreate this look. So I'm going to take all of the maps off the page, and I still feel like at this point I'm going to have Patrick over the maps, but I changed my mind down the line. So I'm going to choose some string that I got from Michael's to match the lines, like the color of the banners of the lines, and luckily it mostly matches the wow, the Travelogue collection. So it works. But I decided that the best way to do this is to punch a hole in the middle of the page. So at first I get out my awl and I punch little holes, but this string is too large, like too thick for these tiny holes. So instead I get out my crocodile and I'm going to use that instead, make much larger holes to make it easier on myself. I'm going to make sure that they are center, or they are offset enough around the page that you can see them all. I take one off because one are two of like two different versions of the same thing. Also, I thought, big brain moment, to arrange them so that they made sense. Like the North Beach loop is at the top, and the Middle Beach loop is in the middle, and the South Beach loop is in the south. Hello, Tracy. That is a big duh moment. So I'm arranging these so that I can start wrapping my string around where they need to be. So I'm going to trim this off. It doesn't need to be super seen. I have my photo popped up on foam tape, and I'm going to do that with the other photo that ends up being there, but it's going to make it easy to get the string underneath the photo without it like being all lumpy. So you can see I have all holes, but now I'm doing crocodile holes, and I'm just going to tie this in a loop around here. And I'm going to do that to start off all of these strings. It's just easiest for me. So I'm just going to tie a knot, and then I'm going to use my tiny attacher to create the lines where there would be push pins. So let me trim this off, and then we will speed this up here in a minute after you get the gist of it. So I'm going to get my tiny attacher out, and I'm going to staple this to a point over the South Beach loop. So I'm going to make sure that the string that I'm using only goes over the map that it correlates to. So that's going to create a cool visual of color, but also it just makes sense because, you know, the line for that trolley would go over that map. So you can see I'm going in and out of the holes. I end up not doing that for the other lines mostly, and just stapling because it just becomes easier than going in and out of the holes all of the time, especially as the holes start getting filled up with string. It gets a little bit touchy around the center there where where I'm trying to get the string in and out of the hole. So you can see I'm just using my tiny attacher. And I also wanted to make sure that the lines sort of crisscrossed each other, and if I was just going in and out of the holes, they kind of just went straight up and down, and there was no way to like make them go diagonally at all. So I just was making sure that the lines were more interesting by using my tiny attacher and stapling them in different places. So I'm tying another knot. Then I'm going to repeat the process with the purple string. The purple is the only color that ends up not being in the Travelogue collection, but it's just such a small portion of the composition of this layout, it really doesn't matter. Plus it does match my photo, so it just kind of all draws it in anyway. So I'm going to start in the center again and use my tiny attacher to go nice and wide because I needed to fill up some more of that space down there. I actually wish that I had done more of the green. I was being a little bit conservative with the lines for the first one, and so it was a little less green than I would like in the end product because my photo does end up covering up a lot of that green, but you get the point. It's not a big deal. All right, so we've got all this settled. Whew, that made me dizzy. Now I can start putting my photo. So I had the epiphany to use this photo instead, duh. And I'm gonna put this right here in the center of my layout. I'm gonna pop up the photo on foam tape and on a journal card. I liked drawing in the green from the paper that I'm gonna use on the other side with this journal card, plus the sentiment makes sense. So I'm actually going to take my foam tape and I'm going to put it on the background paper in places where there is no string so that I don't have any adhesive over the string, making it further bumpy and excessively bumpy. So I'm going to put it right here and right here. And that'll be enough adhesive for this photo to keep it nice and popped up. Making sure I add in my holes. Phew. All right, pull this off. And it takes me a second to get it arranged around the holes. But look at how cute that looks. Oh, I love it so much. It was such a great epiphany. It made me so happy. So I'm going to take some of these teeny tiny little not enamel, but whatever they are, puffy stickers, and I'm going to put them in between all of the little lines just to make it a little bit more interesting. Add some confetti on the page. I'm going to add a couple more things later on down the line too, but this is where we're going to start. And then we're going to start working on the other page. So one of the things, the issues that I have with working with Traveler's notebook papers in these Life Crafted albums is that they are just a little bit not wide enough, right? Traveler's notebook papers are 4.25 inches wide and Life Crafted pages are 5 inches wide. So I had the epiphany to use what I trimmed off of that 6x8 paper to extend the Traveler's notebook size paper horizontally, make it 5 inches. Hooray! And it looks so cool with the map extending to both sides of the page. So I'm gonna struggle just a little bit on this side too. I mean, sometimes the struggle is real and the page still comes out great, but you gotta really concentrate and figure things out. So I knew I wanted to use this transit ticket as my journaling card, but there's not a lot of room here. Plus I did want to fill up that whole journal card with journaling. So I'm going to create a pocket like I do often behind this photo, and I used red line tape to create rails for that journal card so it doesn't get lost in the pocket. And I want it to stick out the top a little bit, so the rail for the bottom edge is higher up on the photo than the bottom itself. I trimmed down the transit ticket card a little bit so it wasn't quite a 3x4. And you can see it slides in and out nicely from that page. Now I'm going to start decorating. I pulled out some embellishments that matched the theme of the page, and I really wanted to use that "let's go this direction." I will use it, but it's going to float around a little bit. That yellow heart matches the yellow green of the string that I used for that line really well, which made me super happy. So I'm going to pull some of that yellow green over to this side of the page with that heart. And I wanted to use this red here and there as well. So I'm going to move some of these puffy stickers around. I still want to use this. I'm going to get there. It'll get there. It's going to say, it says let's go this direction, which I just thought was an appropriate sentiment. I'm going to use a few different alphas for my title, and the title is going to say which loop is which, because we were so confused for a while. And once I get the title down, then I have a place for that let's go this direction. I'm actually going to stick the little arrow, this little arrow bit under here as well. And I'm just trying to finalize this page without adding like too much more to it, right? You don't want to go crazy. There's a lot going on, and I really want those strings to stand out as the highlight of the page. I'm going to add a hole into this transit ticket and add this string here just to pull the string to both sides of the page. Then I'm going to add a couple of word strips on the map side of the page and call it good. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There's a link to the Travelogue collection from Citrus Twist Kits in the description box below. All right, thank you.